Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Savannah Chrisley heartbroken after Robert Shiver dumping. Former Chrisley knows best star Savannah Chrisley is heartbroken after it ended with her boyfriend of a year and a half, Robert Shiver. She was planning a whole future with him that included children. So what went wrong, and will she be okay? Keep reading for more details. Savannah Chrisley heartbroken after Robert Shiver dumping. It was true love for Savannah Chrisley and Robert Shiver despite her claims that she was putting her life on hold. After her parents, Todd and Julie Chrisley, had headed to jail for a cumulative 19 years, Savannah's life changed. She was now the guardian of her younger siblings, Chloe and Grayson, but was also dedicated to getting her parents released. Savannah stated that she was not looking to have kids or find a husband until her parents were free. Yet she did explore freezing her eggs, as she also has endometriosis. Then she met Robert and everything changed. She shared that they were planning on having kids, but first, he had to get divorced from his wife, who allegedly tried to kill him. That was a big strain on the relationship, but her family really liked Robert. He joined her and her siblings on a holiday trip, and things were great. Now on her latest Unlocked podcast, Savannah dove deep into her breakup with Robert. She also noted that it was not her decision to end the relationship. More so, it had a lot to do with his estranged wife, Lindsay Shiver. Sadly, they are no closer to a divorce than when Savannah Chrisley met him. Savannah maintains that it was Lindsay who would cause a wedge whenever she would come back around. Furthermore, she did not want Savannah around, trying to get a court order to keep her away. However, Savannah noted that Robert claimed he ended the relationship for her. Not the perfect man. After fans and followers of Savannah Chrisley saw that she would be talking about her breakup, they had questions. They started to believe that Robert Shiver was not the kind man she had presented him to be. Rather, he had a very dark side, and that led him to end the romance. At the same time, some did not think Savannah needed to blame Lindsay for what happened. Over on her social media, Savannah Chrisley did ask her followers for heartbreak advice. They told her to feel the pain and allow herself to grieve. Everyone was super supportive, which likely will help through all of the pain. Savannah Chrisley was no stranger to heartbreak, but this time it hit differently. After a whirlwind romance with Robert Shiver, the ex-football player turned insurance executive who'd been thrust into the spotlight after surviving a plot allegedly orchestrated by his ex-wife. Savannah believed she had finally found a man strong enough to weather the storm that had followed her since her parents' imprisonment. But now, only months into what she thought was a love built to last, she found herself staring at her phone, reading a message she never saw coming. "I need to walk away, for both of us." The words echoed in her head like a cruel riddle. Walk away? After all they had survived together? After their emotional weekend in Destin, after holding hands through media storms and laughing through whispered judgments at airport terminals, Savannah didn't just feel dumped, she felt discarded. She had fallen hard and fast for Robert. He was handsome in a classic Southern way, with a boyish smile and deep-set eyes that made it seem like he saw right through her. But what really drew her in was his pain. He had been betrayed, almost murdered, yet remained somehow gentle. Savannah had thought, we're both broken. Maybe we can build something stronger from the ruins. But Robert was cracking under pressure. Despite the public's fascination with their pairing, whispers in the background had begun to bubble up into louder conversations. Critics said Savannah was using his tragedy for attention, that she was turning his misfortune into a storyline, that this wasn't love, it was a collaboration. At first, Robert laughed it off, but over time, his silence grew. He pulled away slowly, choosing quiet nights alone in the Bahamas over FaceTime calls and weekend flights to Nashville. He'd stopped commenting on her Instagram posts. He no longer sent good morning texts. And when Savannah flew down unannounced to surprise him, she found him on a quiet dinner date, not with another woman, but with himself, wine glass full, eyes distant. "I thought you liked surprises," she whispered as she stood in the restaurant's entryway. He looked up, startled, and offered a half-hearted smile.
Now, weeks later,
"I do,"
she
he
sat
said,
on the back porch
but
of
maybe
Nanny
not
Faye's
tonight.
new home.
Wrapped in a blanket, even though it was a humid June evening. Her heart ached in a way she hadn't felt since the day her parents were sentenced. But this wasn't the cold stab of injustice. This was something more tender and personal. It was the ache of hope lost. Nanny Faye, never one to sugarcoat, brought her a glass of sweet tea and sat beside her. "Honey, if a man ain't smart enough to keep you, then he's not the one God had in mind," she said plainly. Savannah managed a half-laugh. "I thought he was different. I thought we were both trying to start over." "You were," Faye said, brushing a strand of blonde hair out of her granddaughter's face. "But starting over's hard when one of you's still living in the ashes." And maybe that was it. Robert hadn't healed. Not enough, anyway. Savannah had tried to be his light, but maybe he wasn't ready to step out of the dark. She scrolled through old photos on her phone. Robert holding her puppy, Robert and Grayson goofing off at a Braves game, Robert whispering something in her ear that had once made her blush and giggle. All of it felt like someone else's life now. A movie she'd seen before with a bittersweet ending. The media didn't wait long to pounce. TN's ran the headline: "Savannah Chrisley and Robert Shiver split. Trouble in paradise." Others speculated that Savannah's ongoing family drama had driven a wedge between them. One podcast even cruelly suggested that Savannah was emotionally unavailable due to unresolved trauma. None of it felt fair. She had tried. She had opened herself up. She had even softened parts of herself she'd once guarded with steel. But heartbreak, Savannah realized, doesn't wait until you're ready. It doesn't come when you're armed. It sneaks up on you, cloaked in silence and small changes. Less laughter, fewer texts, eyes that stop lighting up when you walk in the room. A week after the breakup, Savannah found herself walking into a local church she hadn't been to since before her world fell apart. She didn't go there to pray for Robert to come back. She went there to ask for strength, for clarity, for peace. And in that quiet chapel, she cried for the girl who believed in the fairy tale. She cried for the woman who tried to fix a broken man while still taping together her own shattered pieces. She cried for the time, the vulnerability, the hope that had been invested, because love, real or not, always takes something with it when it leaves. But she also left the church with something she hadn't expected: resolve. Savannah decided to go back to therapy, to lean on her friends, real friends, the ones who didn't care about paparazzi lenses or tabloid spins. She unfollowed Robert on Instagram, not out of bitterness, but out of self-preservation. She picked up her podcast mic and recorded an episode titled "Losing Him Didn't Mean Losing Me." It wasn't bitter. It wasn't vindictive. It was raw and honest. "I don't hate him," she told her listeners. "I just hate that I thought this would be my happy ending. But maybe this is just a chapter. Maybe there's still more story left." Her fans flooded the comments with support. One wrote, "Girl, if he couldn't handle your shine, he wasn't meant to stand in your light." Another said, "You're a phoenix, Savannah. Rise again." And slowly she began to. No, Savannah Chrisley hadn't expected Robert Shiver to walk away. But maybe sometimes the heartbreak that surprises you the most becomes the one that shapes you the most. In the end, she didn't need someone to rescue her from her past. She just needed someone who wouldn't run from her future.